Let's try another Leetcode problem today. Today we are going to try number 238, product of array except itself. So this is another question from the blind 75 list. So for this problem, it's very straightforward. We can understand the question from the title, product of array except itself. So for example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the product except 1 is 24. The product except 2 is 12. The product except this 3 is 8. And the product except 4 is 6. So it's very easy to understand. So there are some limitations about the question. So the product of any prefix or suffix of nouns is guaranteed to fit. Yeah, so the number is to fit in a 32-bit integer. That is okay. You must write an algorithm that runs in on time and without using the division operation. This means we cannot use division to divide it by each of the number. Yeah, we cannot use that, but we can use multiplication. Yeah. And let's say there are other cases. And follow up, can you solve the algorithm in O1 actual space complexity? The output array doesn't count as actual space. Yeah, so this means if we are having another array, for example, this is suffix, that is still okay because this is the output array because we are going to return this suffix. Yeah, so this is the guaranteed. So I'm going to do the follow-up question because if I can solve the follow-up, it means basically it's the same. I can follow the everything above. Yeah. Now let me go to the whiteboard to explain my approach and then go to the code editor to finish up the coding. Yeah. So we are giving an array like the example 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for this kind of question, we are going to manipulate the array. Basically, we are going to use like a prefix and suffix to save us some calculation. So this is basically also a DP method, but specifically we call it prefix or suffix. So how we are going to use this prefix and suffix to solve the problem? Because for example, for the number 2, we know that if we know the multiplication of all the numbers divided 2, it is okay, but we cannot use the divided operator. We have to use the multiplication. How should we use that? If we have a number 2, what about from the right side we get a result if it is 12, and from the left side it is a result, it is 1, so the result should be 1 times 12. If we are going to calculate number 3, please, so for the right side it's 4, for the left side it's 1, 2, it's 2, so 2 times 4 is 8, we got the result. So basically we are going to use it like this way. So this way is basically the prefix and the suffix method to solve the problem. So for the prefix, we are going to use the nouns as prefix. So for the first position, it's still 1, but the second is 1 times 2 is 2. But for the third, it's 2 times 3 is 6. And the fourth position, 4 times 6 is 24. And when we are going to use here, I'm going to use the suffix. Yeah, suffix. So for this suffix array, so for the I'm going to count from the right to the left side. Yeah, I'm going to loop from the right to the left. So the first one it is still 4, but for the second from the right it is 12, 3 times 4. And for the third position, 12 times 2 is 24, and another one is 24. Yeah, after resolving all this, basically we can get the result. So what about, let me give you an example of this number 6. So this is in the third position. What we're going to do, we just need to take this 2 out and take this 4 out. 2 times 4, it equals to 8. Why? Because this 2 is the prefix multiplication. It means something multiplication including 2 and before 2, but it means something before this 6. The multiplication result is 2. But this number means after 6, the multiplication is 4 because we use the suffix. So this 4 means after 6, everything multiplication is 4. But here, this 2 means everything before 6, the multiplication is 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. So let's check it. So for this number 3, it is 8. Let's have another example. Yeah. What about we have as case like this? The first place it is 1. Yeah. So for the suffix we know it's 24. It means something after this 1. Yeah, it's 24. What about before it? There's nothing. But we need to deal with this as case. How should we do it? We just need to have a 1. Yeah. So if it is out of the range, we just need to directly take this number out, because 1 times this number is still the same. 1 times 24 is still 24. Yeah, what about this one? If we are going to calculate the last one, the last position, what about this one? This one here is number 4. So some number before it is 6. What about some number after it? There's nothing. It's out of the range of the array, but we need to set a number 1. So 1 times 6 is still 6, but we don't need to take this 1. We just need to take the nums. If this is I, so the nums should be I minus 1. Yeah, for the nums. But we cannot use the actual space. It means we have to use the existing space, no matter nums or suffix. But basically, we are going to use the suffix. Yeah, because we are going, for example, if we are going to calculate the first position of the suffix, we just need to use 1 times the previous position. The previous position doesn't have no influence to our first position, so it is still 24. What about the next one? We just need to use the next position. It is 12 and times the nums. Yeah. So this is why, because we always use the next position, and the next position didn't polluted by all our calculations. This is why. Now let me go to the code editor to finish the coding and then analyze the time complexity. Normally, we solve this kind of a problem, we need to analyze the time complexity first. Let me analyze this time complexity. Otherwise, we are not sure if it will be time limited, exceeded or not. Yeah. So this length, nums length, is 10 to the power of 5. So this means we have to use on or on log n. So of course, this problem cannot be on log n, but it can be on. So on is still okay, but on squared is not okay, because 10 to the power of 10, it must be time limit exceeded. Yeah, but we use the suffix and prefix is basically a kind of dp. It is still on. It means we can pass all the testing cases. Now let me put it in the code editor. So we all have a suffix. So the suffix would be the nums copy. Here copy I will use the two comma to copy it, and I will have a n. N is the length of nums. After that, I would use 3 for loops. So the first for loop, I need to prepare the prefix. It is the nums. So for I in range 1 to n, nums I should time nums I minus 1, because here I started from 1, it seems okay. And then for I in range, I need to calculate the suffix I in range n minus 2 and minus 1, minus 1. I'm going to loop from the right to the left. So the suffix I should times suffix I plus 1. Because here I started from n minus 2, it means I plus 2 plus 1 is n minus 1. It is still okay. It's the last position. And then I need to use my final loop to get the result. So for I in range, here I'm going to use for I in range n. So there are 2 conditions. So the first condition is for I equals to 0, as I explained earlier. So the suffix I should equal to, so this is here. Let me go to the whiteboard. So if this I equals to 0, so this suffix I should equal to suffix I minus 1. Because here is a 1, we don't need to check. Because 1 times 24 is still 24. We just need to take out this number. So it is a suffix I plus 1. Another case is if I, let me use elif, I equals to n minus 1. So the suffix I should equal to nums I minus 1. Yeah, let me go to the whiteboard. Yeah, so if it is at this position, I know here suffix should be it out of the range, but there should be a 1. But here it should be 6. It should be nums I minus 1. Yeah. But except that, else there's no, there so the suffix I should be the previous of this I for the nums. So the nums I minus 1 times suffix I plus 1. Yeah, because for this one, definitely for the index I, it will not be go out of the range. It is okay. So basically, this is the entire code. Now let me run it to check if there are any mistakes. Yeah, so it seems okay. Now let me submit it to check if it can pass all the testing cases. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty fast, like 100%. Yeah, if you think this is helpful, please like and subscribe. I will upload more Leetcode problems like this.